Hey everyone, welcome back. It's episode 21 of the Horns Up Podcast, your weekly catch-up on all things metal. I am your host, Dan Kaplan, coming to you as always from Brooklyn. With me, coming to us live from Blake Judd's den full of undelivered goods, my co-host, Corey Butterworth. Corey, how's it going?
It's a little cramped. I'd say it's like I'm stuck between
little? Just a little?
A little. It's there's that phrase, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that's a little more literal in this sense. It's a very uncomfortable sitting situation. I'm sitting on drugs, so I guess that's a little bit more comfortable. But
T-shirt, some vinyl records. I'm
like
Borrowed Hope and Broken Dreams.
I'm like a mole person, except in undelivered merchandise. It's fascinating.
Oh boy. It's episode 21 this week. Our podcast is old enough to drink.
And weirdly, I'm not for the first episode in ever. So, damn it.
Not drinking or not old enough to drink? Did you regress in age in the last week?
Maybe maturity level, but definitely not literally. I just happen to not have a beer next to me, which is upsetting, which I'm just now realizing. Anywho, go get a drink, Horns Up. You've earned it.
Anyway, what's been going on? It's been a week.
Yeah.
What's anything going on up in New Hampshire?
I don't know. I'm finally over my hangover from last weekend, which I'll get into later.
I feel like half of your horns ups and downs are alcohol related.
Yeah. But no,
you're only young once, right?
Exactly. It's that's too many letters to make an acronym, so I'm not going to bother. You're only it's a yo-yo. It's a yo. God fucking.
Because I refuse to say YOLO.
Because yo-yo is better.
Yes.
I guess yo-yo is better because it's not YOLO. But no, actually, as it so happens, I'm just getting back from a nice little stroll to Bull Moose and happened to pick up Behemoth's Pandemonic Incantations back from 1997.
Ooh,
so
old school
indeed. Slowly but surely, that discography will become complete, and I've had to order no albums so far, so I consider that a win. That's
there. You go.
Good stuff. What about your end of things? It's again, as you said, a solid week. What are the new happenings?
It's been a little bit of a slow one. The weekend was great. It was sort of all over the place. I did a cancer walk in Prospect Park for my friend Margaret. Went to a concert, which I will also discuss later. Watched a lot of football.
Yep,
had a mediocre week in fantasy football.
Had a great week. And I attended 0 drafts, so I consider that an A+ situation.
I think that's the key. I think the key is just not to give a shit. I tinker so much, and I end up screwing myself over.
If you've watched the league, you don't tinker. You never tinker. You said it, and you said it. The only thing, barring injuries and stuff like that, but otherwise, no tinkering.
I'm a little bit. You see, I'm holding myself back. I'm trying not to overreact based on a mediocre first week because I'm a little weak at running back. I was thinking of just throwing the kitchen sink at another team in my league to try and get Matt Forte.
Mm-hmm.
And the deal as I had conceived it, I was offering him 4 players. Okay. And I sort of thought about it and I'm like, 4 for 1. If that one goes down,
you're fucked.
Forte's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
If that one goes down, I'm fucked. Yeah, essentially.
Not only is he getting up there in age, he hasn't been the most reliable from a health standpoint over the last 3 or 4 years. Not saying he's been out for a long period of time, but he's had nagging stuff. So it would be risky. You lose 1 week and you give up 4 players, and you kind of lose its value right off the bat.
Yeah.
I don't know. Waiver wire's not gonna be that strong.
No, and this is a 12-team
right?
League, so we're pretty thin as is. But I think I'm going to leave it. Trades will always be out there. I do have assets, so at other positions at least. So we'll see. But so that's where I'm at. Fantasy football is back, and I'm already nervous and jerky all over the place.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving into our headlines for the week. Speaking of you coming from a den full of undelivered merchandise, let's talk about Knockmistium.
I barely want to at this point, but it's news. We better.
I almost hate joking about it because drug addiction is a serious thing, and in Blake Judd's case, it is a very serious thing.
Yeah.
But let's get into it. You may recall in a previous episode we talked about another instance of Nocmistium, of Blake Judd, and unfulfilled merch orders from fans. There were this was what had I think in part contributed to some of his legal problems in the past, and. A couple weeks ago, after we all thought he had gotten clean, we had reports of pre-orders and deluxe editions of the new album, The World We Left Behind, that had not been filled. Blake came out and blamed the team at Century Media for being delinquent in delivering the stuff to him. Century Media initially denied the claims, saying that they never had any control over his pre-orders and thus weren't responsible for this. Right. So it looked like more of the same from Blake. But then this past Friday, it took a turn. Century Media came out and announced that they would be fulfilling all of Blake's pre-orders, even though within, they were well within their rights to just leave it be. They did not have to do this. They would be fulfilling his orders and then effectively terminating his and Nocmistium's contract with the label.
Yep.
It's kind of sad.
I mean, I could, like you said, this could be something we joke about. This could be something we, shit on him about. But really, it's tough. As a fan of Nocmistium's in the past, it really is just depressing. He's written about drug addiction in his songs before. It's obviously been ever present in his career, and all I can really say is just sad. Like really, he just needs to deal with this shit because at this point, it's destroying his career, and he has talent, so.
Would you? Listen to the black metal albums. The talent is there, and when he is in a right frame of mind, he can do really good stuff. He has done really good stuff.
Absolutely.
But at this point, I'd be shocked if he found another band to play with at this point. It seems like he's burned pretty much every personal and professional bridge he's had. There are even anti-Blake Judd Facebook groups starting.
Right.
It's a shame. And actually, just today we had, I don't know if you read, there was a piece out in Noisy. His friend Neil Jameson, who's in Krieg, but he also worked with Blake on Nocmistium stuff, on Twilight, a number of other projects, basically came out and did this sort of tell-all look at what it's like to work with Blake and to be Blake's friend at this point. And he said he can't really vouch for him anymore.
Yeah.
Just came out and detailed all the problems he's had to deal with as a musician because of Blake and his addiction. And it's really a shame. You hope he finds a way to get the help he very clearly needs. But you wonder what else is going to have to go wrong before he does.
Right, and that's kind of what I'm thinking is what else has to go wrong because eventually he's going to have to get to that point where it's pretty much the bottom of the barrel for him. And maybe I don't know. I thought several years ago I heard rumor that he may have turned a corner or something here or there. Clearly that didn't happen. Maybe this whole basically just having everybody turn their back on him can kind of help. I don't know. It's probably me just being overly optimistic. You always have that mentality of once somebody hits the bottom of the barrel, they get like a little of a wake up call. Knowing this guy's history, I'm optimistic that maybe he'll get to that point and he'll be able to turn a corner if it just gets bad enough. But when he's losing his contacts and his musicians and all the other things that go with that industry, what else do you turn to really? To kind of kickstart you.
Yeah.
Obviously I'll be paying attention to see what happens. Obviously, all the best to him, but it's a scary situation.
Yeah. So that's the news from Nocmistium. It looks like they're well and truly fucked at this point.
Yeah.
So we shall see. Next up on our list, we have a return to our previous podcast, The Bracket, a callback to our biggest dipshit in hard rock and heavy metal. Teddy Nugent is back in the news. With a fear-mongering 9/11 attack warning, because of course he is. Ted took to Facebook earlier this week and posted the following, quote, 9/11/14 is the day of infamy again. Unarmed and helpless Americans and Europeans will be viciously ambushed when they least expect it, and the death toll will be more brutal and widespread than all the peace and love dreamers could ever imagine. He then urges people to grab their guns and extra ammo and be prepared to, quote, go heavy, which is obviously what we need in this country right now. Look at Ferguson. You look at all these shootings we've had all over the place. We certainly need people encouraging others to grab their guns and go heavy, don't we?
Dude, I've said this before, but Ted Nugent just doesn't need to be on this planet anymore. He doesn't. There's no point to these comments aside from just being a fear-mongering asshole. Cut the bullshit. What intel do you have? And if not, you're withholding it.
He doesn't have intel.
Of course he doesn't. So what the fuck's the point of these claims? He has no intel. So what's the point of just saying, we're all fucked? It's just fucking burn, guy. Just burn. I hope you fucking drop on your guns and shoots you in the goddamn head. I mean, I'm just so tired of your bullshit. So tired of it. I don't know. Oh my god, he was the biggest dipshit for a reason. I'll just put it at that.
Yeah. Nobody can really compare to him. Remember when we fucked up so royally that he was an 8 seed? Or was that by design? Did we just want some upsets to happen?
I don't think it was entirely by design. I mean, we definitely didn't know the scale of his insanity at that point.
Poor research. Yeah. Poor intelligence.
Like every seating was just a knee-jerk reaction. He was just a guy that we thought was annoying, but that was kind of it. And then we really delved into it and realized, he's, or he was banging his daughter? Legal guardian of something?
Like his adopted daughter.
There were a lot of layers. And the guy's insane.
Yeah.
The guy is insane.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that anymore. The dude's a fucking mess. Let's just leave him be. Yep. Ted Nugent, go fuck yourself. Next up, we have news from Slipknot, who have announced some aesthetic updates to the new band. Corey Taylor announced that they're the band's new bassist and drummer, who are still as yet unnamed. I'll add. The band's new bassist and drummer will play with the band on stage, unlike more recent live gigs where they've had a bassist play effectively behind their amps, out of sight. The new bassist and drummer are going to play with the band on stage, but each will wear the same mask and be essentially anonymous within the band. Slipknot, as you know, 9 different guys for the longest time were 9 different guys with 9 different masks and 9 different, fictional identities associated with those masks. Now we're going to have 2 people wearing the same mask, and what does that even mean? What does that stand for? Corey Taylor came out and said, quote, on one hand, they get a mask, but at the same time, it's not the individual mask that we in the band use. We knew that any attempt to do anything like that might be taken as disrespectful, but at the same time, it's part of the way of moving, of getting past the hardest steps, which is just moving on. Disrespectful to who exactly?
I'm going to say, I think it's almost...
Is it disrespectful to anyone other than these new replacement members?
That's what I was going to say. I mean, first of all, what this tells me, this whole story, what this tells me is that they don't have permanent replacements. They don't. That's what this tells me. If they did...
These guys are temps.
Yeah,
these guys are like Pearson.
These guys are the Pearsons of Slipknot, and that is a really, really bad situation for Pearson. No, but
they don't have leather jackets, therefore they're not full members.
Exactly. I think it's really fucking stupid. I really do. I mean, it tells me they don't have, these are just temporary replacements. They're treating them as such. This is kind of like, I kind of treat this in the same way. I'm not sure if you remember way back when, which isn't really that far back when, but still beforehand. When Dimmu Borgir released the music video for Gateways, and all the members of the band that basically weren't Shagrath and that bald guy with the mustache, they wore masks. Yeah, they wore masks in the video to not show their actual face. I kind of paint this in a similar light, like, oh yeah, temps, don't be unique like us.
And it's not like And I think of like another current example. I think of Ghost, but it's not like Ghost having the nameless ghouls is by design,
right?
Like this is a blatant attempt to like make. It seems like at least a blatant attempt to make these people lesser than the 7 remaining original members.
Exactly.
I don't know. They've just been this whole album. I feel like they've been handling every aspect of it really poorly. I mean, you have the marketing so far, which like those 15-second snippet trailers that they released that didn't really do anything or say anything.
They were so annoying.
The sound. They haven't really been handling the sound all that well. I mean, the negative one sounded like dog shit.
Right.
I don't know that I'm really gonna be able to get behind these guys much longer.
Nah.
I don't know that I really care about this new album, to be honest.
Nah, I don't care. I mean, I'll listen to it. Just, I'm sure we'll review it. That's why I'll listen to it, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, I mean, aside from really just a couple tracks from the old albums and the most recent 2 albums, Slipknot in general isn't a band I care all that much about. I don't invest much time in them. I don't invest much interest in them. This isn't helping them out. Not that they necessarily care about how much time I invest in being interested in them, but the point being, this is kind of the reason why. I don't think they handled these situations well. I think this is just kind of stupid. I think they kind of do stupid stuff. And just, I'm all set.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. The 5th album is coming out, I don't know, sometime in October.
Sure.
I don't even know the name. They've released the name, but I haven't committed it to memory.
I believe you. There's enough albums coming out in October that this one will fall by the wayside for me. I mean,
yes.
At the gates.
Yes. Devin.
Stuff. Yeah. Other stuff. Yep.
So yeah, if you're a Slipknot fan, look for it. If not, hey, high five. Closing out our headlines this week. This is of questionable metal status. I don't know, but of course, you all know, or maybe you don't, because it's questionably metal. Black Veil Brides have been working with Bob Rock for their new self-titled album. Bob Rock, of course, produced Metallica's Black Album, Load, Reload, Saint Anger, produced some Motley Crue stuff back in the day. And he's now working with Black Veil Brides, who just released their new single, Heart of Fire. Did you happen to listen to this thing?
No. What? No. Fuck no. Oh, shit.
Well,
I take it you did.
I've got a newsflash for you. Bob Rock still sucks. And so does Black Veil Brides.
So it's a fitting...
I don't even know why. Really, I don't even know why we're talking about this. I think it's just probably because it was a slow news week. One of the slowest we've had in I don't know how long. Yeah. I think the song is called Heart of Fire. I think I'm just going to pretend it was Hammerfall's Hearts on Fire, and then maybe I'll enjoy it a little bit more.
Without actually listening to it?
Yeah, exactly. This is just... They actually, I was reading about this on Metal Injection, and they posted a new promo photo of the band. They got rid of that like vaguely anime looking goth kid motif that they had been doing for a while, and now they just look like scenesters, like standard scenesters, but they look even more like women than they did before. And like, remember when it was like that Australian reality show that like a lifeguard mistook them for girls?
Yeah.
I mean, that is going to happen far more frequently now. They legitimately look like girls, everyone in the band. So yeah, have fun with that. If you're a Black Veil Brides fan, don't listen to this. Go away. We don't want you.
Or just how about just don't be a Black Veil Brides fan. I mean,
don't be.
I mean, what I can say for this news article, which I'm not going to comment on any further as far as the actual news itself, this fulfills our quota for mentioning Black Veil Brides on Horns Up for all subsequent, or I should say, all preceding episodes 1 through 20, and all succeeding episodes indefinitely.
Infinity.
So we did it. Good job, team. Woo! High five.
Yeah, we got through Black Veil Brides. No more of that. So yeah, that'll wrap up the headline section for this week. For the first time in a couple of weeks now, we have some concert reviews. We both have concert reviews. Now, Corey, you went to one. You went to see Arsis and
Allegaeon. Yes.
Allegaeon, who we thought were called Allegaeon. And I'm still going to call them Allegaeon. I know it. But yes, Arsis and Allegaeon. What'd you think of this one?
I had a fuck ton of a fun time. That's a weird way to describe that. No, it was great. It was a Thursday night. It was in Boston. I hung out late in the office, and this show was, at night down a ways in Cambridge. And, I pre-gamed a little bit. I dragged my buddy along who I work with, and fuck, man, it was fun. It was a tiny venue. I mean, there must have been no more than 50 people there until Allegaeon took the stage. And they got the crowd moving quite a bit, and these guys just have a ton of fun. They just have a ton of fun. They walk on, and it's like, we're Allegaeon, and we don't give a fuck, and they just started playing stuff. And, they played, all the good stuff. They played, hold on, god damn it. They played, like, Biomech. They played, 1.618.
Nice.
Yeah, which is obviously,
lots of stuff from the new album.
Yeah, lots of stuff from the new album. And I mean, they actually played the you're going to have to remind me of the title because it's long. The closer to the album. That was their closing song for the set.
Oh shit, Vows for the Vitruvian Man?
Yeah, that was their closing song, and it was fucking killer. It was fucking killer.
God damn it. I wish I had gone to this show now.
It was so much fun. And during 1.618, I'm not sure, for those that have watched the video, you fucking better have, because it was in our quickies one day. They play, in the video, they play, Wheel of Subgenres, and, they perform part of the song in the attire of one subgenre and move to another one. One of them is crabcore, and in this crabcore section of the music video, there's a crab dancing around on the screen. During this stage, they had some jabroni in a crab costume jump on stage and just wander around. And then after the crabcore section, he left. They were insane. They were so ridiculous.
Kind of reminds me of Devin Townsend bringing Bender on stage that one time during Bend It Like Bender.
Right, exactly. And it was awesome because it was like a 15-second part of one song, and then he was gone. So I did the support thing. I bought obviously I already have the new album, but I bought one of the preceding albums because it was like like $7 or something at the venue. And, nice. got good and drunk and had a good time. And then, Arsis, who I had just seen, well, actually, I hadn't just seen them. I saw them last year when they opened for Flesh God Apocalypse and Winter Sun. They sounded really good, too. But at that point, I was kind of turning the wheels on some of the people in the audience. So I was paying less attention. Yeah. But overall, A+. Allegaeon, great show. Definitely going to have to catch you guys next time you come around.
Allegaeon needs to come back on not a Wednesday.
That was the thing. I mean, that's what's so tricky about going from west to east is when these guys do New York City and Boston, which is, let's face it, everyone. Boston's usually second, which means we usually get the Thursday show, which Friday's a lot more easier to deal with than Thursday and Friday is to deal with. So, it happens.
Yeah. Allegaeon though, they just seem like so much fun.
They really were.
I mean, I've seen like some of the live videos and stuff, but I just like, even on their social media, like I was on the floor laughing at work when I think they put out, it was either a tweet or a Facebook post. They tweeted at Miley Cyrus, because I guess they were playing in the same town at one point recently. They tweeted at Miley Cyrus and they're like, yo, we're in the same town playing 5 miles away. You want to give us your leftover catering? We're in a metal band and we're poor. I was like, you guys are the best. They're so wonderful. But cool. I'm glad that was a good time.
There's a meme going around of Dr. Zoidberg that says the Formula 1.618, this song rules. It's the fucking best because crab.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I wish I was friends with them. They're fun. Yeah.
Maybe they can be the 9th through 13th asses.
Right?
After Abath.
After Abath. My friend actually, speaking of Abath, my friend made a good point. He's gonna try to Ryan, who I met at Vakken. He planted the seed in my brain, and it's unfortunately growing. He he mentioned he's waiting until next year to go to the MDF, and his hope against hope is that one Abath and Immortal might be making an appearance. Obviously, just his own rumor, but he put the thought in my head, and now I'm all kinds of giddy about that concept. And I'm going to be super disappointed, I bet.
At MDF? Well, wasn't that recent lineup announcement, though? Wasn't that final? I mean, I guess
not
for
2015, like for 2016.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he won't.
Well, hey, you know what? That would fit because they're working on an album. I mean, it's probably not going to be out until next year,
right?
So
I know, but still, these are one of those things where if somebody mentions something that gets my hopes up, I will keep that there until I know for a fact it won't happen. And then I will be severely disappointed and I will hate myself. So, damn it, Ryan, if I'm depressed in 2016, your fault.
I'm just going to go ahead and confirm this for our listeners. This is our own speculation. There is no basis in fact to this yet. We're just thinking and hoping.
Somebody planted
all y'all
at
MDF.
Right.
All y'all at MDF, get in touch with Abath. Get him over here. We would love to see him.
Absolutely. He's just
a wonderful person.
A little thing my friend said, I can't go to MDF till 2016. I hope maybe there's a chance that Immortal can go. And that thought hadn't crossed my mind until he showed me his wishful thinking. And so that's where we stand. That's what we're hoping for. You should all hope the same and make things happen. Anywho, that's enough of that tangent. What do you got this week?
Well, I went to see on Saturday night. I went to Irving Plaza and I saw Fucked Up and Speedy Ortiz.
Sweet.
Fucked Up was the third time I've seen them in the last year and a half or so. I mean, they're just an amazing live band. And this was probably the best of the three shows I've been to. I sort of saw them. The previous two shows were in sort of odd locations. The first was at Governor's Ball, which was a lot of fun, but just sound wise, it wasn't great for them. And then later last fall, I saw them at Le Poisson Rouge, which is just a small venue here in the city. And again, it didn't really cater to that kind of show, that kind of atmosphere that they like to generate. Yep. This was at Irving Plaza. It was a club show. Big enough crowd to mosh and go crazy, big enough space to mosh and go crazy in, and they took full advantage. Damien, of course, the singer, came out into the crowd, spent most of the show there. Fans were holding up his mic cord, and he was just roaming around. Like, he went back almost as far as the soundboard at one point, nice. Just singing, screaming, howling in the crowd, whatever you want to call his vocal style, growling, I guess, hugging people. Like, I got a pat on the back. It was just all kinds
nice.
Of fun. So great. Tons of energy. And they played a good mix of stuff from David Comes to Life, which is my favorite album of theirs. The new album, Glass Boys. They played some old stuff as well. It was just a great time from a band that always delivers a great time. And the opening band, shout out to the opening band as well, Speedy Ortiz, from up your way, not quite so far up your way. They're from Boston. But,
yeah. So
they do
my way where I am half the time.
Yeah, we'll say that. But they do a really, really fun, like, kind of 90s alternative thing.
Nice.
And chick singer guitarist, a girl named Sadie Dupuis, who is just a total babe, rock goddess. And they're a lot of fun. So, Fucked Up and Speedy Ortiz, definitely a highlight of this late concert year for me. But good times all around.
Nice.
So with that, let's move into some new releases for the week. I want to do this in reverse because I feel like there is one album that we're going to spend a lot of time talking about, and I want to do that one last.
Works.
So we're going to start off our new releases. We've got 3 of them for you this week. Let us start with Striker,
sure,
who have an album called City of Gold. This is the 3rd full length from the Canadian speed metal, heavy metal throwbackers. These guys only formed in 2007, but they sound like they could very easily have been around in 1987. No?
Yeah, just a little bit.
What'd you think of this guy?
It's weird. I actually kind of liked it. I don't know. Usually this kind of stuff doesn't stick with me, and it kind of comes and goes, and I might listen to an album once and shrug my shoulders and walk away. This one was kind of, they did some good stuff. I remember, just going through some tracks that kind of caught my attention. Start Again I liked. Crossroads I didn't mind. I I was a little disappointed that they took 2 Minutes to Midnight, yes, a cover of the Iron Maiden song, and did not change it whatsoever. Which is my least favorite kind of cover.
Even they didn't even change the key. It was like literally the same thing.
It's like, we're gonna try to play this, but not as good because we didn't write the song.
Yeah,
but to
be fair, there was only a bonus track, but still.
All right, so it was the only bonus track I listened to. Anyway, you'll have to help me with that one. But overall, for a band that could have come from 1987, I didn't think the album was that bad. That was, listenable.
I thought there was definitely some good, aggressive riffage, solid musicianship. The vocalist, the 2 Minutes to Midnight cover was kind of appropriate because the vocalist at times really does sound like peak era, like his Bruce Dickinson in his prime.
Oh yeah, definitely Maiden-esque at points in the album, no question about it. Yeah.
I question whether his vocal style is really suited for this particular kind of music. Because at times, this band is really like a speed metal band at heart, and I feel like his vocal style at times kind of clashed. It felt like it would be better suited to a more melodic kind of thing. But overall, it was good. I respect his voice. I like the song "Underground" that kicks off the album. Yeah, it's good. The intro riff to Second Attack felt like a kind of like a copy of Lamb of God's Laid to Rest, which I don't know how I feel about that because I like Laid to Rest, but at the same time, like, that song came out 10 years ago. Are you guys still ripping that off?
Yeah, right. 1987.
Yeah. Overall, I thought it was fine, but not great. It feels like a comeback, like a Still Got It album for an older band, but it's actually a just picking up steam album for these guys. And I feel like, isn't this a little reductive? Couldn't you be doing different things with speed metal at this point? Blah, blah, blah. But it's not offensive. I enjoyed songs on it. I thought it was a fun listen. So
no, overall, I really appreciate the musicianship. I like the aggressive take on speed metal or whatever, how you want to describe it. But it's kind of funny. You mentioned how the vocals sometimes didn't really work with some of that riffage and just some of that aggressiveness. And the best way it's like to think of it, to kind of describe it, think of like I like to think of the polar opposite of that. Imagine if like somebody was doing, if like Michael Ackerfeld was doing death growls over Blind Guardian. It doesn't work. There are times where it definitely doesn't work. It just doesn't match what they're producing for a sound.
Yeah.
But
I was listening to this and I was thinking like Chuck Billy from Testament would have been a great vocalist for this thing.
That could work.
Yeah. Which is like low hanging fruit because speed metal, thrash metal, blah blah blah. But I don't think it killed the vibe. It was just a little jarring at times. So.
Sure.
At any rate, the band is Striker. The album City of Gold. It's out now on Napalm Records. Check it out. Next up, we have Funereus, who are out with their second album. ... Return of the Old Goat. Yes, the ellipses are fully part. The double ellipses are fully part of the title. These guys are from Mexico by way of California, and they are straight up old school black metal to the max. What'd you think of this one?
I appreciated it from the 3 albums we listened to this week. This thing was a freaking quick hitter, though. It was, like 7 songs, 30 minutes, like not even half an hour.
Definitely half hour of power.
Yeah, definitely straight up black metal. It's just so raw, and it's to a T.
It's got every black metal trope you need. We've got the blast beats, we've got the raw production, the searing, like snarled vocals that are talking about Satan. Literally the only word I could make out at any point during this album was Satan.
I could make out Return of the Old Goat in the title track because that was the title of the track and album. But otherwise I would have been kind of lost.
Yeah.
No, they just don't give a shit. They're going to write black metal. They want to throw black metal at us, and for what it's worth, it's not bad black metal. It really isn't. It's kind of, the 30 minutes kind of dragged a little bit for me despite how short it was, just because same sounding. But they were doing their thing, and they were doing it fine. Whatever.
Yeah. It's everything you would expect. It's nothing you wouldn't. I don't really have much to say. It's not bad. If you like old school black metal, you'll like this.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Check it out. Funereus, ... Return of the Old Goat.
It's a funny title and kind of a funny band. Enjoy.
Some gnarly album artwork too. Did you take a look at this cover?
Yeah, I did. It kind of like it.
Looks like it's a black and white cover appearing to depict goat sacrifice by a bunch of demons.
But the goat looks like a
inverted cross in the background. It's like every like satanic cliche you could possibly think of in one album cover. It's kind of I feels like a caricature, but then I'm like, oh wait, black metal. So
it's not. Although it also is. I don't know. Whatever. Black metal.
Funerarious Return of the Old Goat. Check it out now. It's on the Spotify's.
Yay.
And finally, our main attraction. Speaking of, going back to our
please
theme-ish.
Please use the term attraction lightly.
Right. Our previously discussed theme of questionable metal status. We have the 11th album from In Flames. It's called Siren Charms. It's their first album on a major label. It's out on Epic Records, part of Sony Music. What'd you think of this?
I'm going to start off by saying this. I'm going to say between 10 and 15% of this album. So overall, not a very good listen. And here's the one real problem I have with that 10 to 15%. Because there are points of that album that I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. But it's like 30 seconds to a minute of every song. It's not an entire song. I can't go buy a single because guess what? I only like about a third of it.
It's parts of songs.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I know. This, I think this one kind of took to you a little bit. The opening song In Plain View, the intro. I've told this to you initially. It sounds like fucking Daft Punk from like Tron Legacy. It does. But the chorus is good. I like the chorus, and then I hate the verse.
Chorus is awesome.
Yeah,
I love the chorus.
And then I hate the verse so much.
I don't know. I kind of like the riff. I'm with you though. I mean, like the chorus to In Plain View is great. The chorus to Paralyzed is good. Yep. I like the bass intro riff on the title track.
Yep.
But then there's a ton I don't like. I think With Eyes Wide Open, Awful. When the World Explodes are two of the stupidest songs, not just that In Flames have done, but that I've heard all year.
Right. I will say this one, When the World Explodes. I don't like it, but the one thing I do like of that song, but it doesn't belong in this record or really any In Flames record, but if you just take it for what it is, like that 2-minute section towards the end, like those haunting female vocals, I kind of like them, but they just don't work here. It's different, and I like different, but it's just like, really? If I could take those 2 minutes and throw them somewhere else with some other band and some other fucking time and space, it'd be pretty cool. But again, 1 to 2 minutes of a song, not 5 minutes.
This isn't good. This isn't good. I'm going to reference something the sort of stream of consciousness series of tweets that I put out on yesterday when I was listening to the album on the Horns Up account at Horns Up Podcast. Follow us. I'm not ready to give up on In Flames yet because, and I'm going to use a non-metal example here. They're going on a very similar trajectory to AFI. You'll recall AFI started as a hardcore punk band, gradually became more mainstream in their punk sound, and then, effectively abandoned the punk sound altogether. They'd been trending away from their roots. They really hit rock bottom in 2009 with the album Crash Love. Right. Crash Love sucked because it, like Siren Charms, it didn't know what it wanted to be. It was a very confused record. It was very much moving away from punk, but at the same time trying not to let go of punk. And it failed completely.
And the thing is,
I was ready to give up on them.
Sure.
But they came back last year with an album called Burials, which saw them finally fully embrace the new sound and stop trying to cling to their last remaining few shreds of punk. And when you looked at it from that non-punk perspective, it was actually a really kick-ass album. Gotcha. It was one of my surprise albums of the year. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Yeah. And I think In Flames has every chance to do the same.
They do.
If they stop trying to cling to the metal, if they really commit to the new direction, they could be okay. I mean, think about it. Other bands have left death metal. Look at Anathema.
Right.
Anathema like fully abandoned. They were straight up death doom.
I mean, Catatonia. I mean, there's a
million
of them.
Yeah. It's just they just really need to commit to whatever this new aesthetic is.
And let's just pause.
And they could be okay.
Yeah, they will be. And let me just pause real quick there. Anathema and Catatonia are bands I continue to buy their new releases of because I do like their new sound. I like both. You can have both. I mean, obviously the purists and the elitists are gonna freaking hate it, but they're gonna hate, let's face it, everything. That's why I don't respect him all that much. And we've talked about this before. I try to embrace In Flames album because I know from the get-go they've always tried to have their own sort of environment or feel to each album. Each one should be different and looked at as an individual album and not a series of albums. So I've tried to do that, and it worked to an extent with a sense of purpose. It took me 4 or 5 listens through it before I could pull anything out of it that I actually appreciated, but in as the end game, I actually did appreciate the album. Same idea with Sounds of a Playground Fading. At first, I was like, it sounds kind of like Papa Roach. And then I went through it again 2 or 3 times, and I pulled some stuff from it that I thought was really good. And, that opening track, whatever it's called, is really freaking catchy, and it's good. And I'm going to try to do the same thing here. I've only listened to it twice. I will go through it a few more times. I will say, as far as embracing their new direction, the track that comes to mind is Through Oblivion. While that song is extremely poppy, it just seems like it's the least confused on the album. If they did something like that, and it's a song I don't mind, again, the chorus is really, really good. Just like the chorus is really, really good in Plain View, the chorus is awesome. If that's what they want to write, if that's what they want to do, fucking do it. I like that song. I do. I know a lot of people hate it, but I think it's really good. It's cohesive. It makes sense. It's a different sound.
They just need to commit to something. Right now they don't know what they want to be, it seems like.
And I can get that, though, when you think of their history and everything they've written over the years, and obviously one of the writers of their straight up, melodic death metal albums, Jesper's been gone for some time now, and all those songs, Clayman, you think of everything before that, Christ, Horacle, all that stuff. They don't have that piece anymore.
Well, but here's the thing, though. You can say what you want about Jesper, but and maybe it was a question of his head not being in the game for a while.
He was kind of useless towards the end. I will say that.
They had started trending downward before he left. You forget, soundtrack to your escape, Jesper was still in the band.
Some clarity. Yeah.
Sense of purpose.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessarily down to him. I don't think it is. Credit to them. I think. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I don't think it's down to him either. But I feel like I'm not sure how much he wrote in those earlier albums, but maybe I'm trying to say his role in the band had decreased over time, as far as the writing goes. Yeah. Maybe it's something along those lines. But either way, the piece that was there during those albums everybody loves, and what's kind of funny is really people love 4 or 5 albums out of a discography of 14 or 15. It's still kind of like a weird ratio there. But just that piece that was there from their roots that everybody loves so much isn't there. So I don't know. That was the only point I was making with that.
Fair enough. It'll be interesting to see. I'll say it again. I'm not ready to give up on them, but them, really taking that step that AFI took could be a tall order. Yeah. And I don't think it'll stop Siren Charms from being a wildly mediocre album.
No, and it is mediocre. And like I said, and I'll say it again, I will listen to it a few more times. It's just, it's the way this band's worked for me for the last 5 to 10 years. I have to listen to each album a few times to really actually kind of gain anything. It doesn't mean that I will, it doesn't mean that I won't. But either way, it's something that I just need to keep going back to. I will mention this. I'm not sure if you've listened to it. There is a bonus track on I guess you could say the deluxe copy of the CD called Become the Sky. There's a riff early on that is very, very good, actually. And as a whole, the song is probably honestly one of the better ones in the album. So just throwing that out there, I happen to find it. I'm not sure if you've listened to it or not, but I actually kind of liked it. So we'll see.
Okay. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that, but we'll give it a listen. Yeah. At any rate, Siren Charms, In Flames, it's out now on Epic Records. Check it out.
No, definitely. Definitely check it out. It's worth, if nothing else, just understanding where we're coming from. Really.
Yeah, I can't really give it a ringing endorsement, but you might find some stuff interesting there.
Yeah,
so
that's inevitable.
that will do it for our new releases this week. Bit of a slow week on the new release front, but let us move right into some old releases. What do you got for your retrospective this week?
This is going to be much like last week, an album I ordered and just happened to manage to pick up, and that would be Woods of Ypres. Album is Woods 4, the Green Album. This is a long album. It's about 70 minutes. Honestly, the way I discovered this band, I'll have to, kind of give a little bit of a backstory here. The way I discovered this band was I got a sampler, which, you buy enough magazines and shit like that. There's samplers all over the place. One of the songs on that sampler was Woods of Ypres, I Was Buried in Mount Pleasant Cemetery. And I thought it was, interesting, kind of doomy, kind of depressing, but interesting despite its simplicity. So, I checked out some of their other stuff, and really I just ended up kind of getting into these guys a little bit. They didn't have any of the records. I kind of just, Spotifying and YouTubing and whatever I could to listen to them. And, I sprung for this one. Just from what I hear, it's kind of their best album. They do the most on it. And I will say they do a lot on it. They really do. There's some pure doom metal songs. I think of like Everything I Touch Turns to Gold, Then Coal is very doomy. The opening riff straight through, very dark. By the time you read this, I Will Already Be Dead is kind of just sad. And then you think of like Wet Leather, which is almost more of a thrashy thing. And then they get really, really melodic with Retro Sleep in the Morning Calm and You Are Here With Me in the Sequence of Dreams. They do everything on this album, and that's kind of why I like it. Again, I lied before. It's actually almost 80 minutes of music. Wow. So it takes up time, but there's some cool stuff on it. And, I've been kind of going through a phase where I've listened to it and started appreciating a lot more, doom metal, darker stuff. Pale Horse Named Death kind of comes to mind. This isn't quite along the same lines, but, similar, style in a way. I mean, it's cool. It really is. It's just, it's definitely, it's an investment of time though, for sure. I mean, David Gold, for those unaware, is no longer with us. He did pass away. I can't remember exactly what year it was. I want to say it was 2011.
I think that sounds right.
I think it was late 2011. And obviously the band's no more since then. But this is one of the quintessential albums in their discography, and I know from some of my connections and friends in music, it's one of the more important albums in their collection. So it definitely was one worth picking up, and it's definitely a very cool listen. It's very cool. They do a lot of stuff. Like I said, it's all over the map, but it works. Just make sure you have an hour and 20 minutes to kill.
My next subway ride, I'll do
right?
that. The MTA's been fucking up like crazy lately.
That's not good.
30-minute subway rides. 30-minute subway rides normally are turning into like an hour.
Oh Jesus!
It's a pain in the ass. Of course, it's like the prime season for it too. It's hot summer, so the subway, the platforms are just saunas. So maybe I'll bust it out there. I'll get some grim and doomy metal to cool me off.
It's
chill my blood.
I encourage giving it a once through. I really do. It's just it's definitely emotionally charged too. So I mean, if you got time to kill and you feel like being angry at stuff around you, knock yourself out.
There you go. Well, very cool. Woods of Ypres, Woods 4, the Green Album. Good choice. Word. My retrospective this week, I am going with a classic. I don't know if you want to call it a classic, but probably the best album from Children of Bodom. I'm talking, of course, about Follow the Reaper, the Blue Album. This was one of the earliest albums that I committed to as a middle schooler. We're talking like formative metal listening days when I was still kind of a pussy and kind of scared of growled lyrics, basically of non-sung lyrics. Yeah. And I was really into melodic stuff. Maiden, a lot of power metal, you name it. I had a friend make me a power metal mix CD, Power in Prague. There was like some Symphony X, some Blind Guardian, some Ed Guy. So I was really digging the melodic stuff. And that was ultimately what drew me into, as a 13, 14-year-old, Follow the Reaper. This was an incredibly melodic album, really just solid, upbeat, For me at the time, it felt heavy as hell, and I still think there's some really heavy, like awesome moments on it.
Oh, for sure.
Produced by Peter Tacker, and the thing sounds pristine. It's just great. I mean, I feel like there's not really a bad song on it. I mean, you open with the title track into Bodom After Midnight, you've got Every Time I Die, you've got Hate Me, you've got
Mask of Sanity.
I've always loved Kissing the... What's
Mask
that?
of Sanity is awesome.
Mask of Sanity. I've always loved Kissing the Shadows. I think the main guitar lick in Kissing the Shadows is so cool, unbelievable.
So cool. I will say that Children of Decadence is an absolute ass kicker too.
Oh yeah, no doubt. The album is full of them.
Yeah.
I think the weakest thing on here might be Taste of My Sky.
Yeah, probably.
I think. Like it's so good, and the covers that close it out. I mean, depending on which version of the album you had, they closed it with 3 different cover songs. Three different versions of the album, different cover songs for each. But there was a Wasp cover. There was what the hell, Scorpions. They did Don't Stop at the Top. I forget what the other one was, but maybe Shot in the Dark. I think it was Shot in the Dark, Ozzy Osbourne. But the covers are all great.
Back when the covers were actually great.
Yeah, back when they weren't like deliberately trying to be out there with their covers.
Right.
It's just a great album. I think, Alexi's in top form, both on his guitar and as a vocalist. I mean, you saw on the very next album, Hate Crew Death Roll, he's sort of, I don't know. He definitely tried to take a more mainstream approach. Whereas this one, he was very grim. He was very, almost, I don't want to say black metal-y, but he was much rawer. He was much dirtier than he's been since then. It's terrific. It's a great album. Children of Bodom, Follow the Reaper. That is my choice.
I gotta say, the 1-2 punch of Hatebreeder and Follow the Reaper might be one of the better 1-2 punches in any metal subgenre out there. I mean, those albums are just incredible.
And here's the thing: even following it, you could make a case for a 1-2-3 punch, because I really like Hate Crew Death Roll.
Yeah, that is a very good one. And
there's still a lot of good stuff on.
And let's face it, I mean, preceding both of those, or all 3 of those, was Something Wild, way back in the day.
Yeah.
And that had friggin' my favorite song, Lake Bodom, on it. So I mean, yeah, these guys knew what they were doing in the late 90s, early 2000s, no question about it.
Now they're wandering around aimlessly.
I don't know. New album wasn't that bad.
No, they've taken a slight turn for the better recently. So who knows? Maybe there's still hope yet for Children of Bodom.
We'll see.
Doubtful. Right. Doubtful. Anyway, that'll wrap up retrospectives. Let us close this out with a new Horns Up and Horns Down for the week. Starting off with Horns Up, Corey, what's been making you happy this week?
Well, I already mentioned that I found my wonderful new Behemoth album to my collection, so I'll leave that as it was. I'm gonna have to go with, this is weird. I'm gonna stick with the same theme though. My pre-order for Solstivir's Ota came in a couple days late. Part of it is on me. I'm sure it got here, close enough to the actual release date. But between Wednesday nights being tied up with this stuff, and then Thursday, I was in Boston.
Being in Boston,
exactly.
Doing Arsis Allegaeon.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't actually get to open my mail until Friday. And I gotta say, they do deluxe digipacks very, very well. I was very pleased with what I saw. Obviously, the album itself is amazing. The album's incredible. I mean, we've already talked about it. You all know that we like it.
Correct.
I mean, there was artwork in the album that was literally photographs from Iceland, which is kind of cool for me. There was a 3-song mini disc. I'm gonna look up the name of that, EP right now. Which the songs on it were equally as awesome as anything off Ota, and it is called Tilbury. So that was cool. And, it came with like a flag that's hanging over my door now because why not? It came with a patch that's just like their logo, their snowflake logo, whatever you want to call it. And it came with a pin. So, I mean, it was cool stuff. I mean, usually you get these digipacks and you might get like a poster or a t-shirt or something like that, and that's all kind of been done. But this is a little different. The added music was obviously the huge plus for me, and obviously the flag is kind of unique. So I say, great presentation of the deluxe digipack. I got one of only 5,000, so that's kind of cool. Nice. Yeah, so it was a good investment for let's face it, free because money on PayPal.
There you go.
Kind of cool. So I'm gonna give a shout to that for my horns up this week.
Good stuff. Shout out to Solstafir. My horns up. Well, you know what? I don't really know if I want to keep the horns up I had planned on, because I don't want to disclose my work information necessarily, lest this get back to my colleagues.
We swear a lot.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be the best thing to go around the office, but I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna go with the fact that it's finally cooling down. We're and not that it's been unbearably hot. The last couple days it has, but generally speaking, summer has been pretty mild. But earlier this week I slept with my air conditioner off and the window open.
Nice.
For the first couple times all year, since before the summer.
The year starts in May. Let's be real.
And it was great, and I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for football season. I'm ready for the leaves to fall. I'm ready for, apple picking, you name it. Whatever, dude. Whatever.
I do like me some apples.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be my horns up for the week. Unplanned change, but that's improv. You can't teach that. Going on the fly here.
Damn right.
Yeah. So cool weather. That's what's been making me happy. But anyway, what about the horns down? What has been pissing you off? I know there's no shortage of items on that list.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. I find myself struggling to find a horns down rather than a horns up. Horns up, it seems like each week could be like a number of things, and my horns down is kind of like, I guess this, because I'm a...
You know why? It's because we're growing up. We're not angry at as much anymore.
We actually have established lives that are doing well for ourselves.
We don't have the energy. We don't have the energy to be angry at shit.
We have more control over the decisions we make. Less can piss us off. We aren't as entitled to anger anymore. Anyway, but this is something I have no control over. I think if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be going in the same direction as far as subject matter, to an extent for this week's horns down, but for mine, it has to be the NCAA dropping Penn State's postseason ban. Now let me disclose all the information you're going to need to understand this one. So as everybody is aware, if you're not aware, then you clearly live with me in Judd's basement amongst his undelivered merchandise and drugs. And we bring it home. No, but Penn State, obviously, the whole Sandusky scandal, how many counts of child molestation was it? It was
too many.
Yeah, it was.
This is college football, folks. For those of you that don't sport.
For those that don't sport, this is a college football program. Obviously, one of the most renowned in the country. It's a religion there. Their defensive coordinator was charged with numerous counts of child molestation. Everything from showering with ball boys, basically, to all kinds of messed up shit that I can't even. I would not wish those kind of nightmares on anyone. That's how messed up they are.
Right.
It's awful. It's so beyond disturbing. I can't even describe it. So naturally, obviously, the school went through some severe punishments. He's going to jail. They fired their head coach.
They fired their head coach. They fired the athletic director, the president of the university.
This was. I'm led to believe that there was a more covering up involved in this than even we're aware at this point. It was a mess. It was a complete disaster. The school was completely fucked. Obviously,
$60 million fine and a 4-year postseason ban, a 4-year ban from playing in what they call bowl games.
Right, you do well in the regular
again for you non-sport
right
types.
For those that don't sport. If a football team does well in the regular season, usually it's like 6 wins out of 11 or 12 or however many they play. They get to play another game, a bowl game, which it's every game is a little trophy and whatever else. They're banned for 4 years from that, and I from the get-go said that's not enough. That's not enough. This is the entire program. This is the entire university behind this. They are all responsible. This is not enough. I said, if anything, and I've said this recently too, if there's ever a situation where a program is deserving of the death penalty. The death penalty referring to a complete termination of that program for a year, complete termination of the program. This would be it. I mean, what else? Like, this is one of the most absurd things that's ever happened in college football, if not the most. This is a scandal of unbelievable proportions. Unbelievable. Yeah. Now you may have to enlighten me here because I don't remember everything. In fact, I might let you remind me as a whole. But USM had to deal with a death penalty once, right?
Was it USM or was it SMU?
I think
Southern Miss
it was
or Southern Methodist?
I think it was SMU. Now that I think about it, I think it was SMU. I can't remember what it was for.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that should be.
It was one of those.
Speak volumes, though.
One of those combinations of the letters SM and U.
Right, exactly. But that should speak volume.
Had to deal with. I forget exactly what their infraction was, but they had to deal with the death penalty. They were banned from football for a season, I believe, just a season.
Does this not speak volume?
And it killed them.
This wasn't forever ago. This was by no stretch within more than 2 decades. In the past. This was recent. This happened recently.
And it was for a far less severe offense, as I recall.
And we don't even remember it. It wasn't a huge it helped. This is something that we're going to remember for the rest of our lives. I don't remember USM or SMU or whatever. I don't even remember what fucking school it is. Seriously.
Right.
So I don't understand how they could not have been given the death penalty and then something beyond that. Death penalty with an extra 5 years of a bowl ban or something after that. And so that's
I've said this all along, and I agreed with you. I think if the interest here was to, how do I want to say this? What they have right now is bullshit. Not only because, or what they had, I should say. I guess we have to talk about it in past tense.
I'll get into that too.
Because what they had was punishment for it was basically punishing current players for administrative failures and for administrative failures that occurred well before they even came to the school. What I think the death penalty would have done, I think what they should have done was give the school the death penalty and given the kids free transfer out to any other program.
That's what I was going to say.
Because the kids, for once, you're looking at an institution or at an infraction here, where the students and the athletes were not at fault.
Exactly. What was actually suggested to me, and this was just through conversation I've had with friends and family or whatever, what they suggested was death penalty for sure. And then, as you're aware, again, for those that don't sports, if you were to transfer from one school to another, you would lose a year of eligibility. What was proposed to me and what was mentioned to me was, why don't they allow them to transfer and lose no years of eligibility? If they have to redshirt that year because they're not ready to play or they're not in shape or whatever, that's fine. Let them redshirt. They still get 2, 3, 4 years, whatever's left.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, would have been the best solution.
Yeah. I was going to say, I really think the death penalty would have gone farther to addressing the long-term issue here, which is that the culture of college football is just out of control.
Yeah.
If you give a school a death penalty then cancel football at that school for a set number of years, that puts everything in perspective. That sends a message that, okay, athletics cannot be bigger than God.
It can't be bigger than the school.
Cannot be bigger than, right.
In this situation, it is. Go ahead.
But the NCAA didn't want to do that. The NCAA wanted to give off the illusion that they had punished or that they had done that.
Yep.
And then less than 2.5 years into that 4-year bowl ban, they removed the sanctions.
So as if I wasn't frustrated enough that the punishment wasn't severe enough, they lessened the punishment. Are you fucking kidding me? And mind you, tell me this isn't complete. What you just said about the NCAA, I'm not going to repeat what you just said. This is just so absurd to me. It's so frustrating, and it's so just. I mean, for fuck's sake, the parents of these kids that were all impacted, they basically just watched the school get away with what I think is really, in comparison to what took place, a slap on the fucking wrist. For what actually.
Well, if you think about it, Ohio State had a 4-year bowl ban that was fully enforced for players accepting free tattoos. Penn State's going to get away with 2.5 for repeated institutional cover-up of child molestation.
Tell me that's not fucked up. I mean, and I'm not saying this to you because I know your stance, obviously. I'm just.
I mean, this is like a Roger Goodell wet dream. I mean, think about this.
Get more on that later too. I mean, yes, I could talk about this for hours, obviously. But this is just it's wrong on so many levels. It's the institution's messed up. Everything about it is fucked up. I hope to God people are actually listening to this podcast and understand where I'm coming from here. And what's more fucked up, Dan, and this is something that you shared that you brought to my attention, when they announced that thousands of these students and Penn State fans just outside with lights celebrating this stuff. I'm like, fuck you guys. Like, fuck you guys. Don't cheer for this. Don't, be proud of this. Your school is probably guilty of the biggest. I don't even know. I can't think of a word that describes how bad of a situation it is. Your school
just devastating.
Yeah, your school just the most devastating. I guess you could say scam, cover up, scandal, whatever. In my memory of college sports, and you're out celebrating the fact that your punishment's been lessened. Shame on you.
Yeah.
Fucking shame on you. Jesus.
And it's tough. It's tough because, as you know, I'm from Pennsylvania. My family, several members of my family went to Penn State. I grew up rooting for Penn State football. And I can't be happy about this.
Right.
In fact, the reactions of a large majority of the fan base, whether it's truthers or whether it's people reacting to the punishment reduction, the vast majority of the fan base is in my eyes has not conducted themselves well.
And this is all coming from me, who's a neutral bystander, really. Like, I have no ties with Penn State or that region really of the country aside from being friends with you. It means I have no opinion one way or another of the football program. I mean, obviously, it used to be a rival with our school, but we suck, so that doesn't really count. So that was coming from me, and this is coming from you, who grew up a Penn State fan, wore Penn State, paint to the game they played at Syracuse. Holds a little bit more volume.
Yeah.
So I'm done. That's my piece, but that's something I had to friggin' bitch about. Assholes.
Yeah. Well, continuing with the theme of football sucks.
God, I'm gonna go to bed angry tonight.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about the NFL, which is dealing with a real clusterfuck of a situation right now. So again, similarly, if y'all haven't been living under a rock, and know what football is, maybe even if you don't know what football is or pay attention to it, one of the star running backs in the league, Ray Rice, for the Baltimore Ravens football team, has been suspended indefinitely and cut from his team after a domestic violence incident. Now, this occurred way back in March, and Ray Rice was initially, sentenced to a 2-game suspension. Again, kind of a slap on the wrist. And the NFL thought they were done with it. It's been very controversial since then because you have guys who get suspended for marijuana for an entire season. Get suspended for marijuana, done for the year. Beat your wife, 2 games. Again, Matt Prater, kicker for the Broncos, substance abuse, 4 games. Substance abuse, 4 games, beating your wife, 2. Well, the NFL had it all thrown back in their face this week when video of Ray Rice beating his wife in an elevator in a casino was released to the public. And this has set off a series of reactions, poor reactions, really poorly thought through reactions from both the Ravens, from the NFL. The NFL claims to have never seen the video in determining the initial punishment.
Why would it matter?
We had an 8.
Why would you need to see the video?
Who the fuck knows? We had an AP report today disputing that, saying that they had, in fact, the casino had, in fact, sent video footage to the league. We had the Ravens, who just are possibly even more inept in this, in how they've handled their, being very publicly behind Ray Rice up to this point, and then all of a sudden dumping him. it's just a failure on all level by everyone involved. Most of all, Ray Rice, how the fuck do you beat your own wife?
Well,
who do you think you are?
I mean, that's that's one side of the coin. That's just there are no answers to that. I mean, it takes a shitty human being. It takes a shitty human being to, put himself in a marriage situation, commit his life to somebody, and then do that. I mean, it takes a really fucking shitty human being. Like you said, who the fuck are you, and who the fuck do you think you are? I mean, that's not something on any level that is in any way. God,
it's not okay.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
And it's very sad for his wife Janae because
she's in a shit spot right now.
They were still fiancés at the time, and they have since gotten married. And she came out today still defending him after this video, after the world saw what happened, after she very clearly got decked in a hotel elevator. And she came out and defended him and saying it was the media that ruined her life. And it just goes to show you, how unfortunate a situation it can be for victims of domestic abuse, domestic violence. It's a struggle. I mean, I can't even say I haven't been through it. I can't, I'm going to stop there. I can't even begin to tell you what she's going through. I'm not going to pull a Chris Berman and be inarticulate and say, "Oh, look, the pun is blocked," before I, spew out even more word vomit.
Right. No, it's.
I hope
it's all you can really emphasize is the fact that you can't emphasize how messed up it is. That's all you can do.
I hope sincerely that things work out for Janae Palmer. I hope Roger Goodell and the NFL get theirs. I hope the Ravens get theirs, and I really hope Ray Rice gets his. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But for now, professional football, the league that doesn't give a flying fuck about women.
I mean,
that is my horns down.
Yeah. I mean, in all reality here, so what? Domestic abuse won't be punished unless you can see video footage of it. I mean, fuck you guys. Just fuck you so hard. I don't know.
Anyway,
anywho,
that'll wrap us up for the week. We will leave it there. A reminder, check out all our stuff on the Horns Up blog. We have more content for you coming every day, including, a new Sunday side splitter, top 10s, our Wednesday and Thursday stage dive and throwbacks, you name it, lots of stuff. hornsupmetalshow.com. We share all our content from there on our Facebook and Twitter. So like us, follow us, facebook.com/hornsuppodcast, Twitter @hornsuppodcast. You can listen to the pod on iTunes. You can listen on Stitcher. You can listen on Podbean, YouTube. And just a reminder that we are going to be switching up our RSS feeds. So if coming soon. So if you subscribe to us now, you will need to subscribe again to the new feed. We will obviously let everyone know once we are switching over. But for now, check that out and keep listening. Corey, anything I forgot? And I cover all the bases here?
I think we covered everything. That was just a very, very negative episode overall.
Yeah, I'm leaving this feeling a lot worse about the world.
Yeah.
So,
Here.
Hooray!
Go us.
Yeah. At any rate, this has been episode 21 of the Horns Up podcast. We're going to go have a drink with our baby right now. But yeah, thank you as always for stopping by. And remember, live,
love,
plow,
horns up.
We'll see you next week.